If you were born between 1965 and 1990, you are part of the last generation who can say they remember Britain as it was, before everything changed. Once, every high street had a Woolworths, neighbours knew each other by name, and the 4 TV channels shaped national life. Today, more betting shops and vape stores replace independent shops. 44% of pubs are gone, and hardly anyone remembers life without phones or around-the-clock surveillance. This is not just nostalgia, this is evidence vanishing with each year. And when your memories fade, so does proof that a different Britain ever existed. So what exactly have we lost? And how did it slip away so quickly? Morning began with the rustle of newspapers on doorsteps and the gentle clatter of milk bottles. Headlines arrived in black ink, not through buzzing notifications. The day's information came from the radio, the BBC's measured tones, or the flickering CFAX pages. Over 1,000 of them, each a gateway to football scores or weather warnings. 4 television channels set the rhythm of the evening. Families gathered on sofas, united by the same schedule. When Only Fools and Horses aired its Christmas special in 1996, 25 million people tuned in together. There was no catch-up, no pause button. Miss it and you caught up at work or school, not online. Cash flowed through hands, not apps. The feel of crisp notes and heavy coins was part of daily life. Cash paid for groceries at the corner shop, a round at the pub, or a Saturday morning cinema ticket. A TM, or cash machine, still a novelty in the mid-1980s, brought a small thrill, typing a code, hearing the whir, and pocketing fresh banknotes. Every transaction left no trace beyond a receipt in your wallet. The day unfolded in shared moments, from the morning's headlines to the last withdrawal at the cash machine. Life ticked to the same national clock, each person a part of a synchronised physical world. Red phone boxes once stood on nearly every corner, about 92,000 across Britain in the early 1990s. Each one offered a lifeline, a call home, a job interview, or help in an emergency. Post offices, more than 20,000 strong, anchored towns and villages. They handled not just letters and parcels, but pensions, savings, and the quiet rituals of daily life. Their counters saw familiar faces, week after week, year after year. Independent shops lined the high street, around 42,000 in 1990. Butchers, greengrocers, newsagents, and bakers. These were not just businesses, they were part of the social fabric. Shopkeepers remembered your name, your usual order, the stories you shared. The high street was a place to be known. Security came from more than bricks and mortar. Most workers expected to stay in a job for a decade or longer. Final salary pensions covered 4 out of 5 private sector employees, promising a stable retirement. Buying a home meant borrowing 3 times your salary, not 9 times your salary. These numbers shaped expectations, a future built on steady ground, not shifting sand. These public fixtures and economic guarantees were not just conveniences. They were the physical and financial threads that bound communities together, visible in every phone box, shop front, and pension slip. With each closure, each empty window, something foundational slipped quietly away. In less than a decade, Britain's daily life accelerated beyond recognition. In 1998, fewer than 1 in 10 people had ever logged onto the internet. By 2010, nearly 3/4 of the country were online. Google, founded in 1998, quickly became the default gateway to knowledge. Encyclopedias and library shelves gave way to search bars. Answers arrived in seconds, not hours. Broadband arrived in the early 2000s, ending the era of dial-up tones and freeing the internet from the family schedule. The home computer, once a shared fixture in the living room, became a personal portal to the world. The iPhone's launch in 2007 turned the internet from a destination into a constant companion. Within 5 years, smartphones were everywhere. By 2012, more than half of British adults carried one. The boundaries between work, home, and social life blurred as messages, news, and entertainment arrived in a steady, endless stream. Information that once trickled through newspapers or the evening news now flooded every waking moment. The tempo of attention changed. Waiting for answers faded. Shared routines, watching the same show, or reading the same headline began to fracture. By 2010, the internet was no longer a novelty or a tool, but the background to everything else. The last generation to grow up without it could already sense the world tilting beneath their feet as the analog clock ticked its final seconds. In July 2007, the smoking ban swept through every pub in England. Overnight, habits that had shaped generations were made illegal. At the Fox and Hounds in Yorkshire, regulars stepped outside, pints in hand, stubborn against the drizzle. For some, it was the last time they would bother to come at all. In the first week, takings dropped by a quarter. Police stopped by twice, once for a heated row in the beer garden and once for complaints about makeshift shelters. Across the country, the pattern repeated. Pubs that had weathered recessions and new supermarkets now faced an exodus. Around 11,000 closed in the years that followed, with wet-led pubs, those built on drink and conversation, hit hardest. The ban was not the only blow. Months later, the financial crash of 2008 sent shockwaves through every high street. Margaret, who had worked Saturdays at Woolworths for decades, remembers the final weeks. Shelves stripped bare, regulars hugging at the door, staff in tears. By the next month, it was a betting shop. That decade, more than 50,000 shops shut their doors for good. Towns like Scunthorpe saw factories close and jobs vanish. David, a former landlord, watched his regulars drift away, some to gig work, some to nowhere at all. James, once a bank manager, found his branch replaced by an algorithm. The loss was not just economic. It was the hollowing out of places where people met, argued, celebrated, and mourned together. Rules and recessions redrew the map of daily life, leaving behind empty windows and stories with nowhere to land. Dr. Emma Williams, a sociologist at Oxford, points to policy as the quiet architect of change. She notes that business rates rose year after year for independent shops, while online giants like Amazon paid a fraction in effective tax. High streets became unviable, not through lack of demand, but through rules that favoured scale and logistics over community. We did not choose digital atomization, she says. It was built into the economics. Paul Jenkins, an economist, sees a different ledger. He reminds us that in 1992, unemployment stood at 10.7%, more than double today's rate. Legal barriers like Section 28, which banned the promotion of homosexuality in schools, remained until 2003. Women's pay lagged far behind men's. We talk about loss, but we have gained legal rights, workplace equality, and broader opportunities, Jenkins argues. Nostalgia can overlook real progress. Historian Dr. Robert Chen adds perspective. Every era grieves its own passing, or some, he says. Victorians mourned the village, the post-war generation mourned empire. Now we mourn the high street and the untracked life. Some losses are structural, but others are simply the price of living in a world that keeps moving. 17% of Britain's high street shops now stand empty, a vacancy rate nearly triple what it was at the turn of the millennium. Betting shops, vape stores, and charity outlets fill spaces once claimed by butchers and grocers. Average daily screen time has climbed to 6 hours and 42 minutes, stretching far beyond the old television evening and into every waking hour. 5 million adults say they have no close friends, twice as many as a generation ago. These numbers are not just statistics, they are signposts pointing to diverging futures. One path leads deeper into digital dependence, with artificial intelligence and virtual worlds replacing what is left of physical community. Another imagines a correction, where policy, public will, and local action revive public spaces and relationships. A third splits the country, with connection and belonging reserved for those who can afford it. The direction now rests not on nostalgia, but on what is chosen next. When lived memory fades, so does the proof that other ways of life are possible. Today, 69% of Britons no longer know their neighbours' names, a silent shift shaping our future. What we choose to remember now will define the boundaries of what Britain can become. Share your story below.